Hello everyone, my name is Brian and welcome back to a Hunter Hazard actually. This time around not a Mage Monday but a Hunter Hazard. And for this Hunter Hazard we're taking a look at Ah Muzen Cab, AMC for short. AMC, not played too often, especially in the pro scene. The reason being for that, he doesn't have a real escape. And that makes him too much of a liability, I guess. He's too easy to focus down when you are on him, especially with tanky warriors. There is not an awful lot he can do other than dealing damage. So let's get right into it and start off with his passive. His passive is called Bees. A few of his abilities will proc Bees on the opponents or on the opponent's minions, causing them to take damage over a duration of 2 seconds, and they'll take damage every 0.5 seconds. The duration of this damage over time can be increased by hitting basic attacks on the targets that have bees applied to them. Every single basic that hits will refresh the duration for 1 additional second. So if you continue to hit them, they will continuously be infected by the bees. This will also reveal them on the minimap, as well as reveal them if they are stealth. If they are stealth targets, then they will be revealed, and that will make sure that if you're against a Loki, for instance, and he is applied by bees, that you can still track him down or make sure you see him coming. As well as Ah Quang actually immediately gets out of his stealth because of the bees, and that's just for the fact that it is a damage over time, and when Ah Quang takes damage while he is invisible, he will be revealed and also out of stealth. Also, there's one other thing about his passive. You will also have a disarm when the damage over time of bees has been applied for 4 seconds. The target will be disarmed for 1 second, and after that you will have a 10-second cooldown on the disarm part of the beast. As you can see, Chin Chen trying to back actually gets applied with the beast, preventing him from backing altogether. And they will stay for a good amount of time. So let's start off with this. Well, let's continue with his first ability. His first ability is a hive. You will place them down. You can see a couple of them. You can also see them on the minimap. The little orange with black in the middle circles are the hives. That's also a way you can see when they get destroyed, because they can only be destroyed by your opponent's basic attacks or by the fire giant, interestingly enough. But when they are destroyed, they'll just disappear from the map and they will give nothing. What do these hives do? They will grant you a buff. When you're close to them, you will get an attack speed buff. This attack speed buff will increase your attack speed by 10% up to a maximum of 50%. And this will increase your movement speed by 10% up to a maximum of 30%. That's not all though. You will also get HP 5. You will get 4 health each, actually HP 1, HP per second. You will get 4 HP per second while you're near your hive at rank 1, and at rank 5 you will get 12 HP every single second. So it's even more effective than a health potion while you are in the vicinity of your hives. So that makes it very powerful. There are options to level that one up first, but your second ability has a lot more burst, which brings me to, of course, my second ability. You saw me use it there as well as my ultimate, but my ultimate I'll get back to that later. His second ability is basically a line attack. It will apply bees, as well as the fact that it will deal damage. Other than that, there isn't an awful lot to it, but still, it is a good amount of damage. It's good for wave clear. It applies bees to everyone. An interesting part about bees I forgot to mention: if you afflict a god with bees and they are nearby another god on their team, they will actually jump over to the other gods, applying bees to them as well. So that's an interesting part. It is not too useful, because it doesn't do an awful lot of damage, but it can be useful, especially if you want to bring someone in combat so they can't use their blinks. It's definitely very effective at that. His third ability is honey. You will actually paint the ground with the honey. You can do it in multiple shapes and forms, but I usually just do a straight line because you will cover the longest distance with it, and it's the quickest way to apply it all together. The honey will slow the enemy targets for 20%, and when you have a hive nearby, the damage, the area of honey will also deal damage over time when your enemies are on it, as well as when they leave the honey that is affected by the bees. When they leave it, they will be affected by your passive bees, which is also quite interesting. There are multiple ways to get the bees on your honey. One way is when someone is afflicted by your ultimate. You can also proc it with your 2, and you can also proc it with your hives. So that makes things very interesting. It is quite easy to get that additional damage on. So it is more damage than actually your bees passive do when they are on your hives, or on your honey that is on the ground that is afflicted by bees. An alt ability altogether, but it can do a good amount of damage if you level it up. I don't recommend it because the other abilities are just a lot better to level up, and since they changed the slow it provides to a flat 20%, it's a lot better to just keep 1 point in your honey. The slow is what you will use it for most, or if you want to apply bees to someone to prevent him from backing, like I did to the Chin Chen last time, where he was probably not too happy about. Ooh, that are a lot of people. 4 in our lane. Zeus gets picked up immediately. I get picked up by the Chin Chen ultimate, and at that point, even before landing, I can't even use anything. That's a bit unfortunate, but it doesn't matter too much. So let's continue with his final ability, his ultimate, and this is a really interesting one. It is a mechanically high damaging god, but it can be difficult to hit sometimes. The amount of damage you can do with it is insane, and it provides a lot of burst, but there's a little charge up time where you fire a very small line nuke stinger. This stinger will pass through enemies' minions and will stop at the first god hit, so you can use it to clear an entire minion wave and hit an enemy god if he is at the end of it, if you do it properly. Interesting part about this is when they are hit by your stinger, as you can see here, I use it really to paint the floor, applying the beast to this buff camp. My honey effectively used at that point. Okay, back to the ultimate. When you hit someone, they will be crippled for 3 seconds. The stinger will remain in their ass, and well, while it is in their ass, it will also apply bees. These bees will do a bit of damage, not too much, but the fact that it stays in him for the 3 seconds, crippling him, is the most effective part, because as you can see, the opponents have a few gods that have a dash. Nemesis, if I put my ult into her, then you will actually not be able to dash for the duration of my ultimate. After the 3 seconds, the ultimate, or after the target dies, my ultimate will drop on the ground. You'll see a stinger on the ground. I will be able to pick that one up, and when I pick that one up, I will be able to pick it up. Actually, when I picked it up, sorry, my bad, I will have reduced cooldown reduction on my ult. Oh, late sanctuary on my part. I sanctuaried with 1 HP left. It is quite impressive, but it's just waiting for your doom with that Shin Chen 1 on me applied. The damage over time guaranteed my death, and I could just look at it like, I have 1 HP. Rest in pieces, my friends. Rest in pieces. So, you can pick it up. When you pick it up, the cooldown on your ultimate is reduced by 80%. That is insane amount of cooldown reduction. I think you have like 18 seconds of cooldown on your ultimate when you are able to pick it up. Like I said, the stinger will drop when your target dies or after 3 seconds. So sometimes you want to pick it up just for the cooldown reduction on it, because having your ultimate online will provide you a lot more burst and that cripple potential. However, if it is in a awkward spot. For instance, if they are almost at the back of their tower or surrounded by their entire team, you might not want to go for that stinger. And as you can see, I use it here. She can't dash away for a good amount of time. It is released at this point, and she is able to get away with a slither of health, as well as the mana. I tried to focus the tower, but noticed I did way too little amount of damage, and just backed off. You'll see me use my 2 a lot to deal damage. You will see me put my hives in a lot of spaces. The best one in Clash, I actually noticed, is the one that I put in our jungle, so to speak. In the middle, because it will provide the buff over the wall. Ooh, insane amount of damage on my ultimate, and my 2 bursting him instantly and doing a good amount of damage to the soul as well. Getting the tower will help out a lot. Soul's 3 is down, so I can look for her. My ultimate is almost up, but I don't think I really need her. Baiting her that I will clear the buff, the minion wave I mean. Going for her instead, getting her, finishing her off. But like I was saying, you have a lot of sustain. As you can see, I get 10 per second already on my hive. And that's just an insane amount of sustain. As well as an insane amount of additional attack speed and movement speed when you are near. But if your enemies really are confident playing against a AMC or more experienced, then they will know to destroy the hives. Because the amount of additional movement speed and attack speed and HP 1 I get from the hives is just an insane amount, and definitely not something you want to deal with, because I'm not only more difficult to hit, I also hit a lot faster. I also have the additional health per second, so you kind of want to get rid of the hives as quickly as possible. You see me back off, we are grouped up too much, and if we all go to the corridor at the same time with the Poseidon near us, he will just ult us. Again, ulting the Nemesis, preventing her from dashing away even if she tried it. And we are able to pick her up as well. So you can see the effectiveness of the stinger. I have 5 seconds of cooldown on my stinger now, just because I was able to pick it up again. And by having that amount of ultimate sustain, so to speak, it's just an insane amount altogether. I really have to back off now though, otherwise the Phoenix will finish me off. Nemesis is picked up, unfortunately, as well as Zeus, I see. I do have to back now, so I don't really have an opportunity to go for anything else. So, he has an interesting kit, but he doesn't have any escapes other than the additional movement speed he has on his hives, and he has 1 slow to peel for him. So that's not an awful lot. Of course, his disarm is there as well, but it is really difficult to really use that effective. Actually, see Poseidon behind me. Can I finish him off? Missing a few autos? No. I was able to pick him up, but I died to the whirlpool as well. I was thinking, like, I was wondering when they would rotate, and I figured they would go from the top side. But then I noticed him on the map. I immediately turned, used my 2, used my ultimate, did a huge amount of damage. Failed to hit my last basic, and that caused me to be in a whirlpool for too long of a time. And I wasn't able to, well, get away. But I picked him up, so I guess it's not the worst. Okay, so I've covered his abilities. He has interesting abilities altogether, interesting mechanics. A few of which aren't really known to any other gods. For instance, the hive isn't really something that other gods have, as well as the painting with the 3. The only real ability that has some form of feature like that is the soul ultimate, and the fact that you can pick up your ultimate for the cooldown reduction is just unique on its own as well. So he has a good amount of damage on his abilities, a lot of burst with his 2 ultimate combo if you can pull it off. Just insane altogether. But his build. So, I like to go Transcendence on him. I like to use my abilities a lot. And since it costs you a good amount of mana, Transcendence is probably the best option for you. Insane amount of damage on the Gold Fury. Can we pick it up before the Chin-Chan can actually get near? Does look like it. A bit risky, but doesn't matter. We are able to pick him up. If he hard committed for that Gold Fury, he would probably have died. So, I guess that's fine. Again, using my stinger in great effectiveness. She can't dash away. She can't dash after the Zeus. She is able to dash away. But again, my ultimate reset. And that is so powerful if you're able to use it in that regard. Preventing her from dashing. She's actually picked up by our Raijin later on. Ooh, nice Kraken. I was thinking about not beating. I didn't see the Poseidon lurking around. he was there, so my Sanctuary is forced, but I still have my beads, so I guess it's not the worst. I could also have beads not being in that particular spot altogether, but I'm not sure if Poseidon ultimate would have been used that way. Whatever. So, Transcendence, Power Boots, because your abilities just do an insane amount of damage. And after that you go Asi. Asi, it provides you the attack speed to make your chins more effective, as well as provide you some penetration, some lifesteal. Very good item altogether, especially if you go for the Transcendence. I really recommend getting that one as well. And again, preventing her from dashing. This Nemesis really hates me, probably. Makes sense if she does. Not really going for the Stinger. You don't always... Additional movement speed helps me dodging the last basics from the soul, and I'm able to get away. But like I was saying, you don't always want to go for the Stinger. Sometimes you're just too caught up in a fight to really go for it, or it's way too risky. At that point I figured it was a lot more important to pick up the Chin-Chan than getting my ultimate back. And it is not the worst, because I have a lot of basic attack damage. The chins will actually be online as well, and with the additional attack speed on my hives, as well as the additional attack speed on that Asi, I will just have an insane amount of damage, proccing that chins as consistently as I can, and it's just a very powerful item altogether. Since I'm so far ahead, I actually go for the Oboe. Beautiful ult combination by the Zeus, as well as the what's his face? Zonquay, and they are able to pick up both of them. Actually, I picked up the Vamana. I think my beast caught him, finished him off. So actually, it can be effective damage. You don't see it an awful lot where you finish off with your beast, but it's definitely an option. At this point, we can just get this Phoenix for free. But like I was saying, Oboe, it's not the item you really need the most, but it is a good item for additional attack speed. With the hives, you'll probably be at cap. No, just barely not. So it's actually a pretty effective item to pick up. As well, providing the lightning to fight off your enemies easier. At this point, you can go for Titan's Bane. That's where I will go back and get ASAP. Ooh, no. Beautiful Nemesis ultimate. My Aegis being on cooldown for 2 seconds. I'm not able to use that one. My lazy back gets punished. Definitely should not have backed at that point. I figured they wouldn't really engage at that point, but I guess well read by the Nemesis, able to pick me up, forces me back. I'm still back at the base. The only problem is I can't really get back as fast as possible. Let's see. Nemesis still fighting, still going for the Chin-Chan. Chin-Chan uses his ultimate, throwing her into the fountain. She dashes away, gets an insane amount of burst by the fountain, and will be picked up. That's a bit unfortunate. She went for the Chin-Chan, almost finished him off, but he used his ultimate in great effectiveness, throwing her into the fountain. And you saw that tick of damage, 750 I think it was, true damage by the fountain. Just an insane amount of damage altogether. But with the Titan's Bane, I just have the penetration I need, as well as I have insane amount of attack speed. I have 1.95 attack speed flat with the hives. That's almost at the cap, so it's very effective altogether. This build is very good on AMC. I like it a lot. Also, Odysseus Bow or Oboe is a lot more effective with the Transcendence, because the Transcendence scales on your physical power, and Transcendence provides a lot of it. So altogether, I think it's a very good way to build him, as well as the fact that if you can hit your ultimate, you'll be a very, very good AMC. And as you can see, most damage on my team, 22k damage, and that's just for the fact that I hit so much of my ultimates, and they reset so quickly. It is an ultimate that hits a lot, especially earlier on in the game compared to other gods' ultimates. And if I can use it to great effectiveness, finishing someone off. A good tactic is to use your 2 and your ultimate at the same time. Throwing out your 2, your ultimate, altogether is just an insane amount of burst. If they are a squishy mage, you've seen me use it 2 times, I think. Once against the Soul and once against the Poseidon. They weren't full health, and I was able to pick them up easily. You can even do it inside a tower range. The ultimate also has a longer range than your basic attack, so it can be used as a way to finish someone off if they just barely are out of your range, but it is of course more difficult to hit them when they are at a further range. There's a little wind-up time. In that little wind-up time on your ultimate, you can actually adjust the aiming. So that is also a pretty interesting mechanic. Not an awful lot of time. The charge isn't too long, but it's definitely something that you could use to your advantage. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys learned something. And as always, good luck, have fun, and I'll see you guys in the next one.